All right. I will kick us off.
Okay.
14 in the East. Charlotte.
Wow. Full
13
prediction off the bat. Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness.
I've got reasons. I've got little notes. 13 FC Cincinnati. 12 Inter Miami. 11 Montreal. 10 DC United. 9 Columbus.
Wow.
8 Red Bull. Red Bull misses the playoffs. 7 Orlando City just getting in. 6 Chicago Fire. 5 New England. I'm probably going to move that. Maybe they may go lower. 4 TFC. 3 New York City. 2 Philadelphia, and finishing off top of the East, Atlanta United.
Listen, I can't say I don't like the finish to that list, but there are some interesting choices in there. I mean, listen, it's your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. Your wrong opinion, but your opinion. We have a few teams that are actually very similar, and then we have some that are just completely like different. What do you want to do? You want to do the breakdown first for yours, or do you want me to run through mine?
No, I want to hear what you've got. So hold on, let me just make a quick note here.
Oh, you're gonna love this one. Warm up those vocal cords. Get them ready. There's one team in here you're definitely yelling at me about.
Okay, I'm just going to record for the future, right? We always come back and talk about this, so let me just quickly record.
Yeah, we need this for the end of the season when we see who was more right. Me.
It's always you because you're a cheater.
I don't. How do I cheat? Show me the proof.
All I know is that you didn't get Supporter Shield winner last year, so that's.
I did not, and yet I still won the standings predictions.
Did you? Did you really?
I did. Yes.
I need to find ways to get myself bonus points. Anyways, go ahead. Give me your 14-1.
All right. 14, I got FCC. 13, I got Inter Miami. 12, I've got Charlotte. 11, I've got Chicago.
Oh.
10, I've got DC.
All right, we match.
9, I've got Toronto. 8,
wow.
I've got Montreal. 7, I've got Red Bull. 6, Orlando. I got Revs at 5. NYC at 4. Atlanta at 2. Sorry, 3.
Atlanta at 3?
Yeah. Columbus at 2.
Oh my God.
And Philly at 1.
All right, we need to have some conversation here, sir. This was brutal. Okay.
All right, why don't we start off about how you didn't put FCC last? You're
let's talk about Charlotte. I don't want to talk about FCC. I want to talk about Charlotte. Charlotte's head coach came into national media 2 weeks before the season kicked off and straight up told them that they are screwed. He goes in front of them after the deal for Darwin Therese. Hold on. Darwin Machis. Sorry, I had my dyslexia moment there. Darwin Machis. And they asked him, they go, well, with the fall through of Darwin's move, where does the roster sit? And he straight up says, we'll talk about the roster after the roster building period is over. If we get more players, we get more players. But right now, we're screwed. That is the exact translation that came out on the screen. When your head coach in year 1, when they're building a roster, says that you're screwed, you are FCC screwed.
I still think they're better than FCC.
I don't think so. They haven't scored a goal all preseason. Right?
Listen, I think I understand where you're coming from. I get it. I just think you're wrong. FCC are just
okay. Let's go in blocks. Let's go in blocks. We'll go 14, 13, 12. So Charlotte for me is going to be bad because their coach has no faith in them, and I think the coach thinks he's above the league. I mean, he was coaching all over South America, Europe. I think he thinks he's above where he's at and is going to be very condescending to a lot of what this league is. FCC at 13 physically cannot get any worse. Now they can, and it would break my heart if they did. I don't think they get into the playoffs.
You don't think?
But they're going to make a very, very, very small step in the right direction. Small. But Brenner is going to score double digits.
That's a step in the right direction.
All right. And then for 12, Inter Miami, complete roster rebuild. You're basically starting from this is basically another expansion team. So I expect them to struggle like an expansion team would. Not at the Charlotte or FCC level, but I would expect them to struggle. You're probably looking at 2 or 3 more years until this team is settled enough to be a proper playoff team, basically starting over from square one.
So I will make note that we did have the same 3 teams in this section, just in different orders.
Correct.
So I said FCC last because it's FCC. I don't think
this is a professional podcast. That doesn't count.
Yes, it does. It's FCC. It always counts. I genuinely don't think they got better in the offseason.
I don't
So
either.
it's just a matter of if their players that they already have got better to start the year. I just don't think they will be. They got a lot of catching up to do. I got Inter Miami 13. Pretty much the same reasoning that you said. Pretty much an entire roster rebuild. And to be honest with you, I don't love a lot of their signings. I think they're going to struggle defensively. Going forward is relying on Gonzalo Higuain for goals, I guess, which is never a good strategy to have.
Watch yourself, sir. He was double digits last year and had enough goal contributions to be considered one of my top finishing forwards last year.
Yeah, that's because he bagged a ton of penalties. Anyway, yeah, I think they're going to struggle again this year. Wouldn't surprise me if Neville doesn't make it the full season.
Ooh, that's bold.
I mean, maybe he makes it the full season, but I just think the team is it's in rough shape to go into this season. And then I got Charlotte 12. I just think that this league has improved enough that expansion teams can't come in and do what LAFC and Atlanta did and just like take the league immediately by storm. I think there's going to be some growing pains now as the league has just across the board gotten better. And not to mention, like some of the stuff that you said, I didn't know about that previously. It kind of makes me want to drop them below Inter Miami, which I might later on. We'll see. But not having the coach not having faith in the team is never good. It's never good, especially at the start. And then not scoring any goals in preseason is not a good start either. That is very Frank de Boer-esque. That's who your Frank de Boer comparison should have been. But yeah, I think not too much to talk about here. We got the same 3 at the bottom. So
it's funny. We put the 3 newest expansion teams in the bottom.
Yeah, kind of says something though, doesn't it? Well, 3 newest in the East, right?
Yeah.
Austin was in there as well, but
you've got teams from 2 years ago, team from this year, and a team that probably should still be in USL.
Yeah, I mean that just tells you that the league it's tougher anymore. You can't just join and have immediate success. You actually have to build the roster correctly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think there's definitely something to take from there. Let's go 11 to 8. Let's do just out of the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely way more to talk about here.
11, I got Montreal. My notes here, Jordy can't do it all himself. I
got Mason Toy. Come on, do you need me to get Adam on the phone?
Quiet down. So when I was watching I didn't watch the Montreal CCL game, but from what what I was reading about it at the end of the day when I woke up the next morning was that it was basically all running through Jordy and they could not foster a goal. Yes, we're out of season. Yes, it's not it's not a massive indicator is the term I'm going to use for our possible success, right? That being said, there's just not a lot here that makes me jump for joy. And Kai Kamara at 37 years old is their now Impact sub. They just signed him last night.
Knows how to bag goals in this league.
And he
Okay,
does.
well, he's your new Wando this year. That Wando retired.
Fair, fair. I just don't think that they've got enough going forward right now to make it work. They pulled a 1-0 loss against Santos on Tuesday. Just they couldn't get anything really going. Everything was going through Jordy, and he can't do it all himself. At 10, I've got DC United. I have no reason for putting them at 10. This is everybody gets put somewhere, and they just ended up being there. Now, if I had to pick a reason why, not super thrilled with their roster build. I think they're a little thin in most areas. Starting 11 isn't like jump off the page amazing either. We'll see what midseason is like if they bring in somebody, but right now there's nothing about the team that just makes me really excited. At 9, I've got Columbus, simply because they're all recovering from knee injuries. Like that entire team tore their ACL. The other part of that, they're also missing a ton of their back line, right? They basically rotated through 4 or 5 defenders from the season before. They brought in Dejanek, Anababa. They've got Morera on the right back, but they still really don't have a left back. So I don't quite know exactly what's going to happen unless they go proper 3-5-2 and just hope that Artur and Perry Kitchen in front of them can do enough work. And I don't know. The shape is going to be a question. We don't really know what the shape's going to be or the system. It's just not a good sign right now. And then lastly, I've got Red Bull. I just bumped them out of here after today's playoff game. So here's the deal. It is looking continually evident that they are more than content with letting this team fail so that 2 or 3 players can improve and get sold. Daniel Edelman is being thrown out into the fire with really nobody to teach him how to do the job that is needed of him in this this system and this job, right? And he's been out there the whole time. And I haven't watched anything because preseason isn't usually readily available. But I would not be shocked if Red Bull Global just says, don't care about your season. If Daniel Edelman is good enough to move on, we'll move him on. And that's all that we need. Again, and it comes back to this whole idea of Red Bull being a pipeline, right? If you win MLS Cup, you get like $500,000 in prize money or something like that. You sell Daniel Edelman for $2 million, you've won 4 MLS Cups. Red Bull doesn't care about winning. Red Bull New York, the team, the players do, but Red Bull Global probably doesn't. Excited to see what Luquinhas brings in. Probably going to bring good service in. My guess is this team is going to need to do what they did last year. They're going to start off slow. They're going to need to bring in formation changes and find the right fit. And then they're going to have to make that run that they did this year. I just don't think they have enough to get into the playoffs this year. So those are my 11 through 8s.
All right, I'll jump into mine. So my team's just outside the playoffs. I got Chicago at 11. I know you got beef with that one because you got Chicago at like 5 or something this year. You're out of your mind. You think Casper Shabilko is winning Golden Boot?
Tell me why.
Tell me why he's in it.
Ain't nothing but a heartache. Sorry.
Because I'm not nearly as high on Shabilko as you are. I think Shabilko was already in like the best system in the league in Philly. And I think he worked well in the system, but he wasn't he's not like a Yosef, like scored a ton of goals like on his own. I feel like he relies more so on the system than as just like, I'm going to create goals for myself.
This all makes sense now. Sorry. You picked Vancouver last year, Whitecaps, Ice, anti-fire.
Oh, and you picked Fire.
I
okay.
picked Fire.
That does make sense.
It does make
Okay.
sense. This is why we work well together, because you say dumb
Fire
stuff,
and ice.
I say smart stuff, and we go together like I love it. This is why we're great. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. So I think Chicago's got the potential in a few years. I think they have good pieces, like Slanina and Shizikos, like we had mentioned. And I think they will get there eventually. I just don't think this is the year. Then I got DC at 10, kind of like the same thing that you had said, like just someone that has to be here. And DC finished around here last year, I know.
Yeah,
And,
they were
and I
close. It wasn't like it was 10 and they were, 4 games out of playoff spot. They were there.
yeah, I just think that DC makes sense to be around the same range that they were last year. I don't think that they really I don't want to say that they necessarily improved on their roster. I feel like they probably are maybe just as good. And I just don't think you're getting any better out of Ola Kamara than you did last season. I think you definitely peaked with him being joint Golden Boot. Like that's as good as it's going to get probably from him. So you're probably not getting the same production in terms of goals from him. I kind of figure if DC did improve a bit from the offseason, that factor is probably going to counter it out. So I got DC 10, just not a ton of confidence in them. And then I got Toronto 9. So they're not getting Insigne until midseason. And at that point, I just don't think that this team has enough to like bring them into the playoff picture without Insigne. And then even when they do get him, and this ties back to our bold predictions, neither of us really think that he's lighting the league on fire right away. It's probably going to take some time to settle, and the wear and tear of a long season in Serie A is definitely going to play a toll. So I just think that this Toronto team on paper is just not that great. I agree with you. I like Salcedo. I think he's very good. But other than that, I don't have a lot of confidence in the back line. They got Mavinga, I think, is the other starting center back, and then Luke Singh is what, your third string? Yeah. So
No, they got Luke McNaughton too, who won the Canadian Premier League last year.
Anyway, no Richie Laryea again. Richie's gone. They have Pozuelo, who's definitely good enough to carry a team, but I'm very curious to see what we get from him last year. I think he was battling injuries a lot last year and got to see him a bit towards the end, but I can always coming back from injury too. I just think there's a lot of uncertainties with the guys that they need to do well. And I don't think the team is good enough or deep enough to get them into the playoffs this season. Now going into next year with a full rested, healthy Insigne and maybe a couple of other pieces added, Toronto could tear this league apart. But I just think this is kind of a stepping stone. Again, I think Bob will bring them forward. That's why I got them 9th. Definitely not second to last in the league again. But I don't think it's ready yet. And then I got Montreal 8th, just missing out again. Heartbreak. I feel bad doing it. But I completely agree with what you said about Jordy being the focal point where everything in the attack is going through Jordy. And he definitely had a super strong season last year. I don't know if he could do it again. And if he can't, I don't know how much faith I have in the Montreal attack. I do think he does have some help. I think Kyoto is a really good player. I think he gets overlooked a lot. He had a pretty strong year last year. Toy was playing very well, and then I presume he got hurt because he just didn't play pretty much for like the rest of the season. But I think there's potential there for Toy. I think the team has talent. That's why I see them right around the playoff picture again. But I just think that they're missing like a star or like someone else to help play make with Jordy. Because like if Jordy can't get it done, and I don't know if I had the utmost faith in Jordy to get it done, then I think that they struggle. So that's why I got to make it.
I think it is worth noting that they've got some exciting potential on the wings.
Lassi Lapalainen, yeah, I totally agree.
Try again. Torres is and Miljevic, I'm sorry, are both players that I think can be successful. Their shape, they came out in a 3-4-3 and played Lapalainen with Mihailovic in front of him on the left wing. I think if they change that shape and let Jordy come in a little bit more centrally with some wingers around him, I think more success, but that's just me. Let's go ahead and move into 7-4. We'll do 7-4. I've got Orlando at 7. I think it just takes them a little bit too long to get the front three clicking for them to be top 3 or really even top 5. But I do think that once it does, they will be okay. And I think their back line will be strong enough to hold them in games and get them 1 point instead of 0 points. And that's the difference between 7th and 8th, right? All right. Let's talk Chicago, who I have at number 6. This Chicago team is recreating what they did in 2017 when they got.
Oh, here we go with this again.
Here we go again. You've got a big target forward who's prolific in his goal scoring ability. You've got a strong German defender. You've got a dynamic winger. You've got what I just looked him up. Jairo Torres, who is a Mexican youth international, who's going to come in and play on the other wing from Shaqiri, which we're talking about is probably one of the things that they needed to go get. And then they are also looking at a signing from the Venezuelan league, the Venezuelan Player of the Year, Yerson Chacon. They are improving everywhere. They've got Gagas Linian in goal, which is an improvement over anybody they've had there since Sean Johnson. This team is set up for success, and Kasper Shabilka is going to be the reason that it happens. If you haven't seen some of the bold predictions from last episode, make sure you go check them out. But this team is primed to be successful. And if you disagree, that's okay. It's okay to be wrong.
Let me ask you a quick question here.
I hate your questions. What?
I know you made the argument for Inter Miami about all the turnover. Couldn't you make the same argument for Chicago here? I mean, they have a ton of turnover in this team.
I definitely could, but the turnover is a bit different, right? So Inter Miami's turnover is 22 players who have never met each other. Chicago is 6 players who have never met each other. Most of them either in a position where they don't really need to be as in tune with the rest of their team. And I'll say that kind of as a lack of a better term. If you put Shaqiri on the wing and let's say, okay, just go 1v1 and cross the ball all day long, it doesn't matter what the players around him are doing. He's just going to do his job. Jabilko needs to be a little bit more in tune with the system. So does Shizikos, and so does, but again, the other person they're bringing in a U22 Venezuelan who's going to just play. And then you got Jairo Torres who's going to do the same thing. Go have fun, right? But a lot of that team also still has MLS experience. So it's not like they're going to have a brand new team. That's what Inter Miami is doing. If you look at what they did in 2017, all of those players that came in hadn't played in MLS before. It took them a little bit to get going outside of Dax, but they did, and they did fine. Chicago to the Yachts. We're streaming every Chicago game so we can.
Oh, absolutely not.
Until they start playing well, and you're like, oh, maybe we got to watch this. In 5th, I've got New England, and I'm okay. I mean, I know you have them there too, but I think they're going to probably find a goalkeeper that's not Brad Knighton. Brad Knighton's not bad, by the way. I know a lot of people. I mean, he's not Matt Turner, but Matt Turner is not anything super catastrophic losing him either. Buchanan's out. Books is going to be probably gone midway through, I would assume. Right now, nobody to replace Turner. Omar Gonzalez is replacing somebody in the back line and Josie Altidore up top for Buxa. This team is probably going to be in a fight till decision day. I think they'll probably be in a comfortable fight, kind of like Orlando last year, where their playoff position is secure for the most part, unless some catastrophic thing happens. But they just need to find out their positioning on the last day. Then they'll go in the playoffs, win MLS Cup because Bruce Arena said so. So rock on. Goals from Josie Altidore, Omar Gonzalez, and Sebastian Lletget. I think the Sebastian Lletget's a good pickup too. I think that's not too bad at all. So, and then at 4, I've got TFC. Lots of big signings. Biggest won't be here until June. We know this. Salcedo in the back to keep you afloat, relying on an aging midfield. I'm okay with bringing them down. If we were making one big list, I'd say I'm okay with bringing them down. I do think Ayo Akinola has a great year. We talked about that last episode. Yeah, not too much there. They probably can improve themselves at goalkeeper. I like Mavinga as a center back too. I think he and Salcedo will work well together. Michael Bradley is forever our GOAT, so he has to be top 4. And yeah, I don't have too many gripes with. I mean, we poked a lot of holes in them, but I think Bob Bradley is a magician and will get the best out of this team. That's my 7 through 4.
If you say so. All right, my 7 through 4. So I got Red Bull 7. I think you had them 8. I think they sneak into the playoffs. I do agree. I kind of feel like when we were going over their transfers, I do think I kind of overrated their transfers a little bit. I don't think that who's playing that right back now? Is it Nealis?
Yep, it'll be Dylan.
Yeah.
Probably.
I'm not high on that one, honestly. I mean, you had Kyle Duncan, who was arguably the best right back in the league. And I don't think Dylan Nealis is nearly filling in the shoes there. So I think that's like one of the things that's going to hold him back a bit. Bringing back Aaron Long does help a lot, though. Him and Sean Nealis should create a very strong partnership with Cornell. I think the defense will be the strong suit of their team. And then in the attack, no Fabio this year, so you're relying on Patrick Klimala. It's not a good thing.
For now.
But granted, he probably can't be worse than he was last year. Not saying he was terrible.
It wasn't bad.
I'm not saying he was terrible, but he should have done a lot better last year.
Correct.
I think there's still plenty of talent in this team to get them into the playoffs. Plus, Red Bull don't miss the playoffs. They find magic ways to get in. So,
and with that, Red Bull are officially eliminated. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think they sneak in again. And then I got Orlando at 6. Again, probably the same reasoning that you had them at 7. I think their midfield and defense carry them to this spot, and I think the attack is going to take some time to kind of settle in and figure out who's playing where and how things are lining up. And I one of my other concerns with Orlando is their backline depth. We talk, I feel like every year about how they just don't have anybody at left back except Matinho. So I am concerned in that regard. But yeah, it's still a lot of good chemistry on this team and good talent that I think they get into the playoffs again. Revs at 5, again, same conversation that you had. I would absolutely drop this team down more, though, if they lose Buxa and Josie Altidore ends up being their replacement. I remember going through Revs subreddit when they signed Josie, and I saw way too much optimism there. Josie Altidore should not be your optimistic replacement for Adam Buxa. I'm sorry. He shouldn't be.
I know what I'm clipping up. I know what I'm doing with this video.
Buxa was one of the best strikers in the league last year, and Josie's not the ambitious. Josie's not the ambitious signing that I think that they should be going for using the Buxa money. You're going to get good money for Buxa.
Serena's tired of ambitious signings. He played with LA for 7 years and had the most ambitious signings in the league. He wants to do it with no
do it again.
He's tired of it. He said, "Give me a challenge, damn it."
He said, "I'm going to take Josie out the door, Omar Gonzalez, and we're winning the league." Tommy, or no more Tommy Mack, I don't think. But
No, Tommy Mack will get it.
Tommy Mack's still there, I guess.
Sebastian Lletget, Omar Gonzalez, Josie Altidore, and Brad Knighton. Come on, what else do you need?
Yeah, I'll still give them fifth because there is still very good players in this team, and they have Bruce Arena. So, I think if they lose Buxa though, they're probably yo-yoing in and out of the playoffs for most of the season, in my opinion. And then 4, I got NYCFC. This is where they finished last year in the league. I don't think they really changed the team at all. I know that they won the MLS Cup, but I think in terms of league play, I can't see them really changing much in terms of where they finish in the standings. I know that they have good, obviously, chemistry and good cohesion, solid coach, one of the top goal scorers in the league. All of this would change, obviously, if Tati leaves and they're relying on a bear. I would absolutely drop NYC down to the lower part of the playoffs because I think Tati is such a huge part of this team.
He is their team.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they'll finish pretty much around the same spot.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into 3-2-1 so we can move on to the West.
Yeah.
I got NYC at 3, returning basically their entire championship team. They did lose Sands. I'm wondering if Tati's here the whole time. I've got no issues. If not, I still think Heber's a good replacement. The issue would be if Heber gets hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll be fine. They got a new DP center back in. They can go 3 back. They can do a whole bunch of different things. Sean Johnson in goal is still very good. I think they'll be okay. Philly at 2. I'm pretty sure that's like in one of those weird MLS rules where Philly always has to be at number 2.
Yeah, kind of like FCC has to be bottom 2 at least. Bottom 1.
I think Carranza is a good addition there. They've got a good, strong returning core, and their depth, while young, can still slide in and play the game. Look for Paxton Aronson to have a big season. Look for Leon Flock to have a big season. They will be totally fine. And lastly, at number 1, I've got Atlanta United. I love the roster build. I love everything. I mean, their first 15 slots all have at least 1 year MLS experience outside of Almada. I think Pineda is the right guy to lead the team because he's gonna take his hands off and say, Joseph, Almada, Arujo, go have fun, go play football, and that's what they'll do. So I'm excited to watch this team. I think they'll be very, very fun to watch. And I think they'll probably top the East this year.
I like that. I like that.
I know you do.
You got more optimism than me, though.
Yeah, because you can't put your team in a place to succeed. That's just wrong.
I would put them 1, but I got them 3. I think my concern with the team, because I agree with you, I think the attacking talent is super explosive. They're going to be so fun to watch. I'm very much concerned about chemistry with this team, though.
Okay.
It feels very much like a team of individuals at the moment rather than a team. You know, I like to compare them to Philly, where Philly feels like a team, where it's not individuals. I don't look at that Philly team and say, like, this guy, he's a superstar in the making. This guy, he's absolutely like MVP conversation day 1. The team is just good. They know their system. Everybody's good in every spot, and they work well together. My concern for Atlanta is that while the talent is off the charts, I don't know how well they'll click together. So that's one thing I'm going to be keeping my eye on this year. I still think the talent carries in the top 3, though. There's just too much talent not to. And then Columbus at 2. I think Columbus make a big recovery this year. I agree with you that the left back is a concern because I don't even think they have one on roster right now.
They've got one, and it's a homegrown signing.
Yeah. I'd hopefully like to imagine they get someone in, but at this point, I don't know. If they were to get in a left back, and maybe they're planning on playing in a system where they don't need one, but I just think if you look at the roster, this team is still super, super talented, like very much talented. Miguel Berry and Giassi Zardes up top, Yosel Rayon, Pedro Santos, Kevin Molino, Luis Diaz. You still got Mensa in the back line with Steven Moreira, Eli Room still in goal. The midfield still got Nagby in it. You've got Artur. And I know you had mentioned a lot of these guys are coming back from injuries, and that's totally fair. I think I'm just opting on the side of optimism here in terms of their recoveries. And I just think the talent is just crazy good. I think Porter, hopefully, we know that Porter can win in this league. I think he finds a way to get this group of guys to work better this year than they did last year. Hopefully he gets better luck with injuries. The guys stay healthy. But I just think this team is super talented. They got a coach that knows how to win. And they got a superstar that to play around, Lucas Elleron. And flashback to last episode where I said that he was going to be the MVP winner. And I fully believe that because I think he is talented enough to do it. And I think he now has, I think this is his third year in the league now, or at least like his third season, maybe not his full third season, but I think he will feel much more settled in and really start to tear this league apart. And then I got Philly at 1. I just think that system is super unbeatable. Jim Curtin's got this thing rotating like clockwork. If one guy is out, like Jamiro Montero, he's going to have the next guy in line, and they will step up immediately and fill that role. No questions asked. Shabilko's out. I think they replace them fine, whether it's Julian Carranza or if it is if they get a visa for Mikhail Yuri, they will be fine. They replace their guys well. Their defense is rock solid, probably the best in the league. They know how to play together. They know how to win. This team's going to win the top of the East again.
That, sir, is what we call a bold prediction.
That's not a bold prediction. Philly finishing first, that's pretty safe, I feel like.
Okay.
Now, if you said Chicago finishing first, that's a bold prediction.
All right.